don't mind, remind us what happens if the oversight panel disagrees with the recommendations that we're doing?
Well, that's complicated. So I guess it just depends on what your viewpoint is on what the power is of the oversight panel. As far as, and I don't want to ruffle any feathers or anything. I really hope that they approve this. But in my mind, there are two, the money's all in one fund, but we've let the oversight panel know that we need additional funds, and they allocated 20 cents, and we specified that it was for the mechanical upgrades and boiler replacements and necessary roof replacements, necessary work to maintain the physical integrity of our buildings. So I could see how someone would say, well, textbooks isn't any of those things. However, there is also an argument for, well, the oversight panel is only responsible for 20 cents from the last year plus of going in there, and there was a bunch of money sitting there already. And so could we just access, I think we could just access that money and approve it without their approval. But what I really, I mean, I'm less interested in who has the power, and I'm more interested in us being collaborative, working together to find a solution to all of our problems, in as much as they can and it pertains. So I think there is some oversight there in it, in as much as it is part of the capital improvement money. But it's, I mean, if you, the board, really wanted to make an argument that, well, you don't have any say over that money, you only have say over this money, you could do that. I think it's combative to do that, and I would rather we just get together and try to do what's best for our kids and for our budget and for our schools. In the end, this represents a $1.8 or $2 million addressing to our issue. And so if for some reason between them and or you, we decide not to do that, what it means is I'm gonna have to go ahead and find $2 more million. This is a really good solution to a temporary problem. And I wanna do a temporary solution to a temporary problem. Future projections, we are hoping to, and I guess I just wanna point this out, there's been a lot of talk about what's going to happen with teachers if a position is reduced here, or this X school is consolidated here. What's going to happen to those teacher jobs, and are they losing their jobs? First and foremost, we seek to eliminate or reduce to match our enrollment by natural processes, and those are every year people retire, and we've already got some of those going. Every year people resign because they move, or they're having a baby and they're staying home with their kid, or any number of reasons people resign. And so we have a lot of those that happen, and when those, so if we're reducing, I'm just gonna use a number, it's a hypothetical number, if I say the number 40. If we're gonna reduce 40 positions because that's what enrollment dictates we should have, then we would start with saying, okay, well, we know we have 11 retirements already, so now we're trying to get now we're at 29, and I know I have 8 resignations, so now I'm down to 21. So really, I'm trying to find, I've got 21 more that I got to figure out, and so then we start to look at, we have positions filled by critical needs, and so those critical needs positions, as well as long-term sub positions, those are positions that before this year, again, annual processes before this year, those always get posted every spring, because those are meant to fill in where we cannot have a certified teacher take that job. And so if we reduce 21 other positions and we have 21 or more critical needs teachers and long-term subs, then yes, a critical needs teacher will have lost that job, but that's not a contracted teacher with the Elko County School District. And yes, a long-term sub may have lost their position as a long-term sub, but that is not a contracted classroom teacher losing their job. All of this would obviously result in some shuffling around, and so someone may not be at the school they were at before, or they may not be teaching the grade they were teaching before. But that's also something that happens every year at campuses. It's just happening to a greater extent. As the principal in Wells, I got to tell somebody every year, hey, guess guess what? You're teaching this grade level next year because so-and-so moved and so-and-so's got seniority and they're doing this one and now you're gonna be in this one. Like that's a natural thing that happens. It's just gonna happen to more people this year because more changes are occurring. I'm not trying to minimize the impact that those decisions have on people. What I do wanna make clear is that these things happen every year. It's just happening more. And the objective is to not have any long-term certified classroom teachers that we have currently contracted with our district lose their job if they don't want to lose their job. And then, just from a standpoint, people often wonder, well, because we always say, 80 whatever percent of our budget is wrapped up in salaries and benefits. And so what that means is basically for every 1%, that's $1,153,657.54 for 1% of staff salaries and benefits for the district. So if negotiations were to be re-entered into, and if you were trying to decrease through that way of cutting staff pay, then that's what those numbers would look like. I will emphatically reiterate that that is not my proposal or recommendation, but that's the information.
And what is our current anticipated budget, ending fund balance for budget?
As it's stated with the Department of Taxation, I'm technically not allowed to have a zero fund balance. I have to keep it the previous year unless we use it for capital improvement projects, which we don't do out of our general fund. So right now, how it's filed with the Department of Taxation, it's stated that we'll have a $4.8 million ending fund balance. But if our expenditures continue, we will be, and we do not make the necessary cuts, we will be at a zero ending fund balance after the audit.
Which is 4% or less of our funding balance, of our budgeted expenses.
Our annual budget right now is $125 million for our expenditures out of the general fund.
That'd be $5 million.
So even if we do make all budgeted cuts and we end with 4.8 million, we're still less than the 4%.
Oh no, you said 5 million.
Yeah.
125 would be 5 million.
So with the additional $11 million that we're having to make right now, that would bring us to a zero ending fund balance. If we wanted to get a 4% ending fund balance, we would have to make an additional 4.8 million on top of the 11 million, bringing it to about almost 15 million.
And if I recall correctly from last meeting, roughly 85% salary and benefits, the remaining 15%, we could cut 60% of that to equal 11%. So we would need to cut 80% to make, or say not 11%, but 11 million. So we'd need to cut 80% of non-salary benefits to make 15 million out of the general fund. That was a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I get what you were saying.
Yeah.
We can't get rid of 80% of everything other than salaries is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Correct, sorry.
Okay. No, that was.
He's trying to make a point, and that is a correct point. We can't just get rid of 80% of everything.
Of everything, not
other
salary.
than salaries, that's correct.
And that's what would be required
Without touching anything else. Yeah.
have an ending fund balance of 4.8 million. So it doesn't matter what we do, we will be in the qualifications of an emergency status.